I want to thank the Iranian movement resistance to invite me and to give me this honor to be with these distinguished supporters for the Iranian people and the Iranian revolution, real revolution, and the Iranian resistance to build a new Iranian nation, respect the human rights and the life of people, and believe in democracy, and participate in spirit of the stability and security in Iran, in Middle East, and in the world, instead of spread the terrorism. So I am very proud and happy to speak with these distinguished colleagues who spoke. Now I'm going to speak in Arabic, and I hope they will translate to you.
It is my honor for me to be here among you today in this international conference, a distinguished one, which is distinguished by your presence, so that we would commemorate a really good anniversary, which is an achievement that shows the determination of the Iranian people, and which also commemorates the 40-year anniversary of the Iranian revolution led by Massoud Rajavi and Maryam Rajavi, who is the legitimate representative of the will of the Iranian people. Additionally, we would like to remember that it is also the anniversary of the political prisoners and martyrs in Iran under the title of "The Change of the Regime in Iran is Necessary, Seeking Justice in Iran and Security and Peace Internationally in the Middle East." Leader Massoud Rajavi, distinguished Maryam Rajavi, and distinguished guests. The Iranian people today are going through the worst time during their history because of the tyrannical actions carried out by the mullahs in Iran through their theocratic rule, which is sectarian and backward, which does not believe in the simplest human rights. And the Iranian people, the mullahs regime since 1979 and for more than 40 years has practiced many tyrannical actions against the Iranians, and he has also taken its right to life. Until now, on the hands of such a dictatorial regime, more than 120,000 Iranians have died, in addition to 500,000 people who are political prisoners at the moment. For example, 1,500 protesters were killed within one day alone during the November 19... And then 1998, more than 30,000 Iranians were killed, who were political prisoners. And those who did that were not punished, and they were not even asked about this massacre. This is because the tyranny, and that means that the tyranny carries on until today, which is something that must not be allowed by the international community to carry on. Indeed, they should not keep quiet about it. Since the beginning, the regime left the people on their own by really not even saying how many people have died or been affected by corona. And yet they have used many billions of dollars for the regime, including Khamenei himself. But this regime is not willing to accept any international help that goes towards the Iranian people, which, unlike other governments across the world, where the governments have taken responsibility of providing the basic things for people, even the simplest things for them to live. And this way, people would be able to follow on quarantine. However, the Iranian people didn't allow that, and people kept dying increasingly by corona. And this is increasing daily. When we look at tens of thousands of prisoners who are in their prisons, who are now fighting corona, but failing, and in fact, many of them tried to flee from those prisons because of the spread of the pandemic. However, the regime managed to arrest them again and then execute them. Now, when we look also how the regime works, how it dealt with corona, this gives us a few facts about them, which is that the regime is not interested in the health of those people, because the people compared to them is not, because people aren't important to them. What matters is that they keep hold of their authority. Now, when we look in other countries, the governments united with the people so that they would try and overcome corona. However, in Iran, the government used corona to get rid of the people and use it against them. Now, despite all the bad situations that the Iranians are living through, and despite needing disinfectants and masks, one of the regime spokesperson said that he had spent more than $3 billion so that they would help the Syrian government fight its people, and also in using money in Lebanon and Iraq and Syria as well. Now, just because of the economy there and the devastation there, which is also because of the fair penalties against the Iranians, that means that they now use all the oil revenues, which is over $100 million, which means that there's a deficit of $42 million in their budget for this year 2020, which meant that the regime is unable to finance Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Iraqis and Yemen, the Houthis, and other proxies in other countries, which means that the terrorism which is financed by the Iranian regime is now in the mud. It also has escalated all the conflicts, on top of which we will find that there are conflicts over their benefits. So he's facing many crises, including corona, and also the economic crisis, and also how the society is starting to oppose them. And also because of all the conflicts internally among the regime. Now, when you look at all the conflicts that the regime is facing, their only weapon in this regime, which uses, is exporting terrorism abroad, especially when they kill people in the neighboring Arab countries, especially in Yemen, Lebanon, Iraq, and Syria. Now, when we look at this and how they are behaving in those countries and how they interfere in the Arab countries, the whole area has lost its stability and security because of the way that they use terrorism in those countries. So therefore, it's very important for the international community, which believes in democracy and human rights and people's rights to live in dignity and free, that we must change this regime, which means that we'll open the route to stability and security in the area itself, and therefore the Iranian people will be free of it, and also the people in the region. أتمنى الحياة.
The leader Massoud Rajavi and President Maryam Rajavi, and wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.